1.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the UpSet podcast. I am one of your hosts, Latasha Hewitt, but you know it. I've got the crew with me. Hey, everybody.
Hey, family.
Hey. Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
We are the 2 live crew.
Yes, that's right. You said the keyword live. We are live tonight. We've missed interacting with our audience live. So we're happy to see all of you. We look forward to your comments and talking with you guys tonight. So I hate to call out when we're missing someone because we hope no one will notice, but we miss our boy Charles.
Chuck.
Yes, This is I'm doing this under protest. A Charles-less upset is
it's upsetting.
Yeah, we just a set. There's no
I think our rating is going to go down. People look at these 5. Oh no, something's missing.
Yeah, where's the level-headed one? Yeah, but no, we'll miss him, but we know he'll be back. Just like all of you. Sometimes we have to pop in and pop out, but we always come back. So, guys, what kind of week have you all had? I mean, I know there was a lot kind of going on personally in the world around us. What are some of the things that were sticking out for you guys this past week?
Well, I'll start it off. I mean, have you noticed with we're at election season now. It's time to vote. But have you noticed that one of the ongoing themes of the candidates, particularly our Republican friends, is you got a whole lot of politicians with guns in their ads? Take a look at it. Wow. I mean, wow. Even the women. I mean, there was one woman over in Washington State firing a gun saying, the Second Amendment wasn't written so that we could go bird hunting. I mean, the concept of the gun has become a primary token of American life today, which is why we have over 400 million guns in a nation of only 332 million people.
Wow. That's humbling. I didn't realize that, and now I'm gonna pay attention to that moment. Isn't it?
And the violence in our country is so many more times than all the other countries. Even those that they called, Middle East, and they call them uncivilized, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We've seen the uncivilized, right? We have so much more violence.
We have 120 guns for every 100 people. The nation that is closest to us in ratio is the Falkland Islands, where they have 67 guns for every 100 people. Wow. We've got 120 for everyone. Something's wrong with America.
Yeah.
They keep saying we need more guns to keep us safe.
Yeah,
exactly. There's something to be said about that. Something to be learned about
America.
Yeah, that's that part too. Yeah.
Well, I can say I registered to vote in PA.
Hey,
congratulations!
Transferring from Virginia. I'm here in the nick of time.
Yeah. Thanks, Yanni, for weighing in on that. She's saying that's because a number of them are passing or pushing bills that will allow their constituents to be able to purchase guns without restrictions. So, that's what people want. So we're including it in our campaigns. So
that's
true.
The money component behind that too. Money. The more purchasing, the more money the lobbyists and all those make.
Yep. That's true.
Because we know politicians cannot be bought or sold.
No,
they're all honest.
But
are they buying you? Are they buying you, Tally?
I'm not for sale, but you can lease me at a reduced rate on Sundays.
The right price, right?
He said on Sundays.
I love it. Now, I know I personally have not been paying attention to much of anything happening in the world this week. We had our communication conference going on, and that pretty much consumed my week, but it was good. It was great. Being able to interact with our communicators and our pastors throughout the week. And there's just so much has changed. And we talked about it a little bit on the show. So much has changed about the way we do ministry. There's just so many different, but that's the thing about the gospel, right? Like, even as the world changes, there's just new and more innovative ways to share it. And that's kind of cool to kind of think about that this week. Now, Pat, I know you got some exciting things going on today. You're probably going to get in trouble for even being here right now.
Wow.
Anything exciting happening in your world?
I figured out over the past 4.5, 5 years that I spent about $130,000 on Jasmine.
Goodness, that much?
Yeah, well, I'll take a little percentage that the conference gives for being a but she graduated, and we're here celebrating that she has graduated.
Yay,
and
that's awesome.
That's why we're here, and she's trying to get me to get her a car.
Oh, absolutely. She just finished college.
Get her one. I mean, I know a place where they sell some really nice Matchbox cars.
Yes.
Yeah. Get her two. I
mean, thank you, Nick, because
she needs a car.
I'm looking forward for this show today because of what Marlene is talking about, that she needs a car.
She needs a car.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got a point there. You
should
it
tell
doesn't have
us
to be brand new, but she needs a car.
You should say, baby, not a car. I'm going to have you chauffeured in a $250,000 limousine. It's called public transportation. Put it right on that bus.
That's for a bus.
Marlena, let me fix this for you, though. She has a car.
Oh, she just She wants a newer car.
For an upgrade, she upgraded that degree now.
Yeah, she's worked hard these 4 years.
Yeah, but here's the funny part. Let me just put this out there. And that's why I'm really grateful we're going to be talking about what we're talking about today, because she makes more. She's coming out of college making more than me.
Yep.
Wow.
So,
okay. I see.
So you want her to buy you a car?
What is her field?
Nursing.
Oh,
yeah, they're doing
well.
very
You
well.
think you might coming out of retirement? You're like, what is her field?
Tally can be a nurse.
Well, no. Marlena was a nurse. Marlena said, "Wait a minute."
I was a physical. I am a physical therapist. Not a nurse.
That's right. Physical therapist. Okay, made that wrong.
No.
But
nurses are in high demand.
Nurses. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're in high demand, especially the traveling nurses.
Yeah, they really
yeah.
I can't do nursing because I get queasy messing with people physically. I mean, you're just going to suffer.
Why don't you break that down a little bit? Because
look, if you need a bedpan, you're just in the situation. I can't help you. I mean, I'm not even going to watch.
Your patience would be abandoned. Yeah,
can't
that's right.
Well, yeah, maybe you were in the right field then after all.
Keep him on radio. Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, I'd say.
All right, guys. Well, we're excited about our topic tonight. I think it's one of those topics that is always good to revisit on a regular basis. And April, if I know this is May 1st. Welcome to May, everybody.
Right.
But April was Financial Literacy Month. All right. So, we like to talk about finances here because we think it's such an important thing. So, GP, what angle are we taking with this tonight?
Oh,
yeah. So, as Tasha mentioned, it was Financial Literacy Month, but in the year 2004, Congress designated the month of April as National Financial Literacy Month. And so organizations really do what they can to spread awareness, to give information, to help educate the citizens, young and old, about financial matters. And so back in February, we tackled this topic with Joseph Namwanye. That was actually season 2, episode 6. I encourage you to go check that out. It was a wonderful episode. We talked about what led to the wealth gap between blacks and whites. We talked about the present and how to build wealth for the future, to build a legacy. But on this day, in May of 2022, people are experiencing pain. Pain at the pump when they're getting gas, pain at the grocery store when they're buying food or groceries, pain when they're paying rent because the costs are rising and rising while our salaries are stagnant. And if you're low income, you're really feeling the pinch. And so inflation is at an all-time high after 4 decades, over 8%. And these are just a few of the factors that are eating at our wallets. And So my question to my upsetters and also those who are online listening on Facebook and YouTube, or even listening later, how are you dealing with this financial pinch, with this inflation? What are you doing to cope? What are you doing to stay above water? What are you doing to get ahead of the value of the dollar seemingly dropping every day?
Well, last year I quit my job. Thank you. Thank you.
So Nick said he quit his job, so now he's on a fixed
No,
salary.
It ain't fixed. Trust me, it is quite broken. But
Wow.
GP, I want to tell you this, that it has been maybe over the past 2.5 weeks or so that I decided to go through my monthlies and start to look at stuff that, I'm a tech guy. So I like all these $9 a month stuff and $8 a month stuff. And when I looked at it, man, I'm ashamed to say, but for our listeners, when I added it all up, it came up to about $600 a month.
Wow.
How much did it come up to?
About $600 a month, and probably more than half of them I was not using.
Wow.
Maybe like 3 MailChimps, a Constant Contact. Sometimes they offer you something and you don't go back and say cancel it.
Right.
And it just comes, and every month it comes up. You just say, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it.
I can't take that.
I've just decided to go back in, take out a whole month, and just start to take out stuff that I had in there, including Nick's retirement was in it for $10 a month. I just took that out. But it's sad to say, let me just say this, because it's sad to say that after watching the gas prices go up and watching all these things go up, literally I've been spending all of this money from the past. I shouldn't even have waited for this problem to arise. Just to look back, I'm spending close to $600 a month, and still a bit of pride is in the way. I hope we get to talk about that. A bit of pride is in the way. You say, I'll use that next time. And here I am. What's the one that the books you read? You can read through books or whatever.
Testimonies.
No, not of the gospel. And I found that I didn't do that, and that's $15 a month.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Audible.
Yeah.
Audible. And I said, I'm going to read another. I'll get another book out. Still haven't. So you asked me immediately, what have I done? I had to go back and started looking at those little expenses and find out they add up and work on those things. That's what I have done.
I was talking to my wife the other day. I was like, babe, we should cut Netflix, cut Hulu. Like, come, what can we do?
You have both of those?
Yeah. Because there are some shows that are available in some places that aren't on, Amazon Prime or Netflix.
I was going to get them, but the time I was spending reading the Bible, I didn't have enough time left to.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
You blessed man. You blessed man.
We hear Moses. Oh my
Pat,
goodness.
those little things really add up. And that's one thing that I think we can do as a people. Just take a look at your income, take a look at your outcome, what's coming out, look at those statements, pay attention to those things that you've been neglecting, because there are little subscriptions that we signed up for that we're not even thinking about or using. So it's time to cut it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've always kind of been pretty frugal. I mean, I'd like to think I am, at least. And, even before this whole inflation thing started surfacing out, I was kind of, talking to my husband about this whole debt freedom thing. That's kind of always been my goal. And so I was kind of working towards that anyway. But you're realizing that as you're trying to pay off debt, but other things are going up, it's like you're constantly in this stuff. Wait, but I needed that for this. Why are you taking that? So it makes that process a little longer now. But at the same time, because there's fewer things to pay, then you have a little bit more to work with to manage it. So it's like, you want to put yourself in a position. I'm realizing now that should inflation go even higher, I'm in a position where I can manage it or buoy it until it kind of levels out again.
We're going to go to Marlena and Tally soon, but I was reading an article that said that this inflation is going to cost the average family about $5,000 a year.
Extra. Wow.
Extra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I can certainly say for myself, I'm so blessed to have so many church members that bring me food on Saturday.
There you go.
Hey, testify.
That food lasts me at least 2-3 days. Praise the Lord. And then I have gotten really strict on a budget because, so much has gone up. And then somehow, the state taxes go up. So taxes go up on my house, makes my escrow go up, right? So all these things increasing. That was like my extra little monies there. And so, yeah, I had to really cut back a lot, not eat out that much. I didn't eat out a whole lot, but when I got paid, I was like, I worked 2 weeks. I want to buy me a nice dinner.
Yeah.
I was like,
Goodness,
I said I can eat more food if I buy it from the store, then so I have to really think about things a little bit more. And so I have to cut things out. But then my son came home.
The boy can eat, huh?
Right?
That child eats so much food. I'm going, oh my goodness. I was like, okay, everybody's going on a diet. We're going to eat little small portions. Let's just do it as a household, just the two of us. But I mean, trying our best is very, very challenging. I would say very challenging.
Oh,
Can we have wages that reflect the changing times? Come on, Rodney.
Rodney said, "Don't drag me to that." But he makes mention of the parsonage. I remember when Allegheny East purged themselves of parsonages, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, most pastors don't want to live near their church.
Too accessible, right there.
Yeah, too accessible. And then the other one is in the Adventist church, where you're moving a little bit more regularly than other
Every
churches.
5 years.
Yeah. It used to be every 5 years. Every once in a while now you can stay, but the idea of the church believing, or someone believing, that you living in our house, it was kind of a nuisance. Yeah. That's not your house, it's our house. And the most dependable path to independent wealth, or at least to having financial security, is through property ownership.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what the church needs to do is to make sure that ministers have enough to buy a house.
Right.
And now let me get I still haven't forgiven the church for this one. I found out a friend of mine called me from Baltimore and said, "Hey man, one of your pastors just bought my house." No way this pastor knew that I knew this guy. And I said, and he told me the name. I said, "No, it's not one of our pastors." I said, "Oh yeah, it is." And found out he wasn't one of our pastors. He worked for the General Conference in some, dark division behind God's back. And they gave him $30,000
for down payment,
as an interest-free loan for a down payment.
Must be nice.
Now he's in the back somewhere shuffling papers, making sure that do-wah-diddy gets something in the mail. And we're out here killing ourselves. And when it's time for us to get a house,
it's all on you. All on
we're
you.
On our own.
I know this is not a part of this, but when I came in, I was flogged for buying a house without asking permission. And that's 2003, 2004.
Yeah, I remember they used to do that.
Oh my.
Because
that's presumption.
It was making a statement saying, "I know where I'm going to be," and the conference always wanted to make sure that you knew you were part of the Adventist movement. Movement. Yeah. And so.
That's interesting.
Man, how did we get to this?
Yeah,
Nick,
let's get back on track. Let's get back on track.
You disgruntled, Nick. Nick is disgruntled.
I haven't quite forgiven the church for that one yet.
Yeah, where's Chuck?
That's a tough blow right there. Yeah,
I'm glad Chuck wasn't here.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a year and a half to finally get it together to buy my. That's right, Yanni. Permission. I mean, yeah, that is jacked. That's just the first syllable.
I'm just so glad I came in as a second career, because that is something else.
Oh, it's tough,
I kind of like reading what some of our listeners are doing.
Yeah.
Here's one. I spend an average of $60 per week for newspapers. Scan through and recycle them. That's a waste of money. That's about $240 per month.
Now, if you have a dog, you can always use the paper for the dog.
Right.
But now they do say couponing really works. I mean, if you just buy that Sunday newspaper Sunday, Wednesday, and cut those coupons.
I like the electronic ones though, because the clipping and the scissors, but when you do it online, I like those. They're automatic.
Well, let me tell you why this is so important, GP, and that is what people don't realize, I mean, especially Adventists, we tend to think that the last day issues of life will be theological and behaviorist.
Mm-hmm.
But the last day issues for people who are trying to follow God will be fiscal, economic, finance. Listen to this. And the image of the beast was brought forward, blah, blah, blah. And he causes all, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. And what is the issue? So that no one may buy or sell.
Yeah.
Now, it advances on this in Revelation chapter 18, where it talks about the fall of Babylon. It says the kings of the earth will weep and wail over her, and they will say, and it says, because no one buys their cargo anymore. Verse 12, cargo of gold, silver, jewels. Well, of course, that wouldn't be Adventist because we don't wear those things. Pearls, fine linen, purple cloth, silk, scarlet, all kinds of scented wood, all kinds of... In other words, it goes through a list of things that people purchase. The issues of the last days for the people of God will center themselves in finance and economics, mercantile exchange. Trust me.
Yeah.
That's deep.
It. That is. Let's read it.
So, question I have for the panel. So our episode title is Faithful and Financially Fit. So oftentimes Christians are surprised by how much the Bible talks about finances, and Jesus talked about it a lot as well. So there are over 2,300 verses in the Bible that talk about money. There are about 11 of the 39 parables that are a reference to a money issue. However, in the typical church, we don't really talk about it until Nick brings it up, or we're fighting in a church board meeting about how to spend the money, or we're trying to guilt trip people to pay their tithes and offerings. So why don't we talk about money more in the church?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think, I don't know. I feel like when we talk about it, we feel like we can only talk about it in the context of giving it for tithe and offering. You see what I'm saying? Or if I talk about, but yeah, at the same time, you know, some of our churches do like the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University, because the understanding that if people are doing better with their money, they're more likely to give some to the church. So I think sometimes when our motivation seems more like for the benefit of the church and not necessarily the individual, and making sure people are just living more responsible lives in general. I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on the church. I feel like some of our churches do and some of them don't.
I'd like to say, I did take my previous church, the church before this one, through Dave Ramsey, because I wanted us to learn how to be financially independent in retirement, because you see how many of us are working at 85 years old in Walmart as a greeter, right? We don't even have enough in retirement. And so, you know, I try to say, if the ant, you know, knows how to store up for later, how much more should we, you know? And to be very honest, we don't get that much education in finances. But do you know, when I did do it, it was less than 10 people.
That's right.
So we have to learn, right? We have to learn that, you know, storing for later is very, very important. I mean, you know, I do understand sometimes we don't have enough, right? But man, if you could sacrifice $25, it'll grow somehow, you know, but do something. And so,
you know, Marlena, I think we also we caught the bug of the 1844 disappointment. You know, we believe that Jesus is coming.
Yeah.
So so therefore, not only, this is for another show, but not only are we not saving for ourselves, but we're not setting up ministry for the next generation.
Right.
We see that with our schools. We see that, you know, all the way across the board. And that is the reason why, is because our leadership back then, and I'm using it in a broad sense, thought Jesus was going to come in 1980, thought Jesus was going to come in 1999. Now we are 20 something years past that. And how, if the church itself is not setting up for the future, why are we personally doing it? Is it that we don't believe? I'm just throwing that monkey wrench in there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But let me say this, and Pastor Grissom is already saying it, but I mean, we don't know when Jesus is coming, and we have to leave something for our children, you know. And that's what the Bible says. You have to leave a legacy for your children. And if you have nothing to give them, that poverty string just continues over and over. That's why, I have become more and more interested in financial independence, the older I get, so that, when I retire, that I know that I'm going to be taking care of it and leave something for my children, and to alert the church, and let them know, guys, we have to take care of ourselves. It's not against Jesus, to save and store up for your future, and to, put to the side so that you can, I know a lot of those finance companies want you to, raise, or save 500,000 or $1 million or whatever. But, we need to be better off so that we don't have to work at 70 years old. You don't have to. You can do it if you like, but
Come on,
not if
Nick.
you have to.
Come on, Nick. We waiting on you. Come on.
I was listening to Marlena's quote, Proverbs 13:22, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children.
Yeah.
And so my grandfather obviously wasn't a good man, but,
he did the best he could with what he had.
He didn't have much.
Yeah.
So I see a comment.
But,
Bishop Brissett is quoting Proverbs 6:6-11. So a lot of times we look at the Bible and it says that, but we don't really make practical the principles or the blueprint. Like the Bible's very practical. So you could look at the text and find the blueprint and apply it to your life. And so, we oftentimes just kind of skip by things, but we don't really bring out the practicality of the Bible to our people. And so as a pastor, I think it's my duty to make plain the biblical mandates and the systems that are there that are relevant to our world.
Absolutely. And I think Lovener brought out a good point too. Sometimes when people are doing well in our churches and they are practicing all of these principles, they get labeled as, oh, they're pompous and greedy. They think they're better than everybody else. And there's some sense of like humility for those who are just living a meager, humble life. And, sometimes that is what causes people to be uncomfortable with talking about money because they don't want to be put in a category or something like that.
Yeah, money is amoral, right? It is not evil in and of itself. Right. And so I don't know why we think that having money is bad and being broke is piety or being closer to God. But the Bible is full of examples of wealth, and that is healthy in the scriptures. Like God does not hate wealth. And I believe that God wants us, those he can trust, to be wealthy so that we can be a blessing to others. So it boils down to the heart.
But let's not forget though, Jesus says how difficult it is for a rich man to enter into the kingdom. And the Bible gives constant warning about wealth
and the love of money, but not money.
Yeah. And I saw Sister Carrie saying, and Carrie said, my husband ain't there, but trust me, the voice that animates him is still nearby. It is the love of money. And here's another one, Ecclesiastes 5:10. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is vanity. The Bible keeps warning us about wealth because wealth is deceptive. It is deceptive. And we have, think about it. Jesus, could have been wealthy if he wanted to, but he chose a life. But he chose a life that was reflective of close to, I don't want to say poverty, but it was certainly common.
Nick, I agree with you on that. I want to go back to the question that GP had asked, and I want to say it this way. When I look at the Black churches of the 30s, the 40s, the reason they took the time out in church service to let them know the news of the day, which banks to put their monies in, which services that they ought to use. We had that back in the day. And when I say that, I'm not talking about Adventism alone. I'm talking about the Black church that's where you found out how to save and which bank to save in and what percentages were good and what was not good. I think that once the Black church has reached an echelon or a higher echelon, they figure that we don't have to help like that anymore. Our churches still need it. Most of us are stressed out over finances because we make stupid mistakes, or not stupid mistakes, because we're ignorant. And when I say ignorant, I'm saying it in the best part of the term. We just simply don't know.
Right.
Best part of ignorant.
And
Some of
also
us know, but we don't
discipline.
care. We know, but we don't care sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, you're
I
right,
don't
Sue.
think we always know either, guys. I think we know to a certain point, but I also think it's discipline, because we were just talking about how it's so easy to waste, monies when we're not budgeting. If you, because Dave Ramsey taught us how you budget. Every dollar has a job. And so you put to the side, a little waste money, you put to the side your savings. If every week or bi-weekly we get paid and you don't save something, there's nothing saved.
Well, traditionally, not many of us had a lot to save. I mean, but saving is habitual. Saving is something that you do as a discipline. And I will readily confess I didn't do enough of it coming up, and I paid for that. I mean, but a lot of it is the spiritual thing. I mean, I've got friends. I have white friends who are Presbyterians and Episcopalians. None of them sing those songs like, take the whole world and give me Jesus. None of them. They don't even know them songs.
Nobody knows the troubles.
Or the
song. Lord, I care not for silver nor riches or gold.
Yeah, I'd rather have Jesus and silver. They don't. That ain't in their hymnal. I mean, and the idea doesn't even cross their mind. But people have a way of validating and justifying their condition. We were poor, disenfranchised. And what we did was we evaluated it. We said, God wants us to be like this, because
mercy.
If he didn't, how did we get here? So he wants us to be this way. And look at what my mama did with nothing. And we began to apotheosize or make we make a golden trophy out of struggling in poverty. I'm pressing on the upward way. White folk out in Radnor and Devon don't sing that stuff.
No, but I think too, we sometimes talk about how to accumulate the wealth. Like, we'll share that kind of information. But some people have money but just don't know what to do with it.
Right.
And that's part of the literacy as well. It's not just about how to get money. It's about where you should be putting, how much you should be investing, how much should be put in your 401k, how much should be in stock, how much, that's the I was reading something where it says the difference between the wealthy and the unwealthy is simply information. So those who know what they should be doing tend to make better decisions, whereas those who don't continue on the same patterns of what their instincts or what was done in their own family. You know?
So I see a comment by Lovner Walcott Whiteman in the chat on Facebook, and she's talking about when some people die, they put up a GoFundMe. But I mean, talk about information. I believe every person, every Black person, every person listening, even if you're getting by month to month, there is no reason why you shouldn't have a $1 million life insurance policy,
right?
Because you will pass away one day. So why not be the last non-millionaire in your family? It's not expensive. Just seek out a policy, sign up,
term is
yeah,
cheap.
there you go. Term life insurance policy. Pay for it. It's $50. It's worth it, because when you pass away, your children will be better off.
Nick, I'm already with you.
Go ahead, chew me up, Nick. Chew me up. Go ahead.
I'm with you, GP. I'm with you, buddy.
No, I get it.
Agree. I just think she's gonna kill me.
Yeah, $1 million. You died, man, and you want somebody to cry at your funeral. $1 million, man. Your wife
really celebrating.
Your wife is wiping her tears with $20 bills. The head deacon is saying right after service,
Man, he was a good man.
Nick, if that happened to me, do a toxology report.
I tell you.
Like Samson, GP was better in his death than he was in his life.
My Lord.
But I mean, I remember I was one of the last ministers coming in where there was a time when they kind of encouraged ministers to get out of Social Security. Most of you guys don't remember that. Oh yeah,
I heard
they
that.
encouraged you.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
I was encouraged to get out of Social Security and tried, and got mad and was going to hire a lawyer to sue the government. I want to go back now and kiss everybody at the Social Security Administration who told me go home, boy, because right
Oh, my
now, you
word.
know, I wouldn't even be eating beans. I'd be chewing the can if I didn't have Social Security, and I'm not even collecting it yet.
I could be upfront with you to tell you that for the past 15 odd years, I had not paid into Social Security.
Yeah.
So
How
when you
are they
retire,
letting you?
you're gonna
How
get
are they letting you get away
$5.
from it?
Because when I got hired, I had the choice of opting or not opting.
Oh, wow.
And I did not opt to do it. You know, that's when I was rich back then.
Okay.
But no,
Yeah, he's
I'm
richer.
now. No, I'm not richer. But the truth is that I need it. You know, people said that 20 years from now, the Social Security thing will fall apart.
Wow.
No, I'm telling you right now, if you have to don't opt out of it. Stay in it. Not only that, but it helps the
Have a separate
generation.
retirement
It
account
helps
too.
the generation above. Wait, it helps
right.
the generation.
It
Right.
pays for the people now.
That's right.
Right, pays
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
the people now.
Yeah.
So
But
I've
they keep
opted
a
back
record of
in.
what you give so that at your time they will tell you how much you can get at
Exactly.
62, 67, 70.
Right. But
So
this is why it's
stay in it.
important to
Stay
have
in it.
these types of conversations, because here's an experience. Someone else may have heard the same thing as you, Pat, and they're not. Now you're saying in retrospect, I wish I had, or we're hearing Tally say, what if I had listened to those people? This is what would have happened to me. And so we have to do more of that in our community and in our churches, instead of just kind of like keeping certain things. When we know better, when we've made financial mistakes or we've seen the light, it's important for us to share that so that we can all kind of grow together.
Here's something. I mean, as a minister, I came up in a time where I didn't even realize that you had to pay taxes. It wasn't until like 3 years after I'd been getting my money, man, and I'm like, you know, and then and IRS called and says, you know, you owe us tax. I said, no, I'm a minister. I'm a reverend. I don't have to pay no taxes. And they go, oh no, you do. And that's when I found out that the church kind of sets us up a little bit, because even though we are employees, they say that we are self-employed, which means we have to pay the full 15% of our Social Security.
And when they move you, you get taxed on that too. The cost that they paid to move you.
Anything that you get, like even you know, we talked about the assistance for like children. Like, you know, people always say, oh, you know, conference workers, you get this discount. Yeah, it's
education. You get
it helps on one end, and you get like.
Listen. When I had two of my children in college, you should have seen how much it said I made on paper.
Exactly. You're like, this is not my life.
I was the man.
Did you say you had two children while you were in college?
Depending on how you took
how you get a job.
That's the today with me in paradise. You got it depends on where.
Okay.
Watch the comma. Put the comma in the right place. But yeah. I mean, it's so. Oh man, this is my first year paying taxes, and I have never in all my days, and it is very, very rough.
You never had to pay taxes before,
never,
as a pastor?
Never.
Wow.
No, I got a tax return my first few years. You know. But this is my first step. Sir, listen, I don't know what you're doing
right now, Marlena. He ready to
I don't know what you're doing, sir, but God is hooking me up. I don't know what you're doing. I get tax returns until they start. Well, and I wanted to say about that move, you know, GP, you said when we moved, because the government used to give us some type of allowance with moving, you know, you would get a deduction, but they moved that. They pulled that. That's why now our conference gives us that.
Marlena, you don't have to whisper, okay? Nothing is going to happen to you. Nothing. Say what you got.
I still have a license. I'm okay. I'm okay.
If this were
professional license, I got to back up.
If this were a sitcom, right after Marlena said, "I never paid tax before," the next scene would have her holding two bars saying,
"No.
Did my lawyer call?"
I never had to pay the IRS for not taking out enough.
Okay.
Right.
Did you pay quarterly?
No, I pay every pay period out of my check.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't. I was.
What she's saying is that she never had to owe. She never.
That's
owed.
right. I never owed
She
tax.
never owed. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, Marlena's single.
Oh my goodness, what is happening?
You're silly, man. So we got 20 minutes left, y'all. So
Come on.
our episode is entitled Faithful and Financially Fit. So speaking of tithes and faithfulness, according to a report from the 2020 and 2021 years, Allegheny East Conference gave $35.5 million in 2020. And in 2021, there was an almost $3 million gain in the middle of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So how in the pandemic, when times were hard, when church went virtual and all these transitions were happening in the world and in the church, how did the tithe shoot up so high? Like, did we get raises? Did we get rich? Did we win the lottery? Like, how do you explain the tithe numbers drastically rising like that?
They thought Jesus was coming.
we were joking with Baltimore because Baltimore at one point had the sharpest rise. And they were celebrating. I said, well, the truth of the matter is that they always said if you give people what they want, they'll pay for it. And I guess they didn't want to see you preachers anymore.
My Lord.
But the real truth, one of the real reasons that we have not looked at is the fact that when we went into the pandemic, we made it easier to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be, I mean, think about it. In many churches, the ritual is you get up out of your seat, march around the front, put the money in. Many churches, and that is how you gave. And all of the pastors were saying, we're not going to see our people, so they're not going to give. But when we made it easier for them to give, that helped tremendously.
Sure does.
That was just one thing.
Sure. Nick, can I go ahead, finish up.
No, that I'm finished on that one.
What I wanted to add to that also is that there was also a spike in 2001 during the September 11th crisis, right?
Oh yeah.
So there was also a spike in the 1960s when what's his name? When our first Catholic president
Kennedy
came in. When Kennedy came in, we're crisis.
Yeah, crisis
givers. So when something happens, you're going to find people rallying. And then here's another side of it that we didn't think of. A lot of people now tithe and did no offering.
True.
So a lot of people just rather say, instead of me splitting the envelope, let me just go ahead and tithe, period. And then you see a lot more pushing. Yeah, Kerry said fear driven. So those are my two things. One, not understanding the tithe.
Yes.
So typically they say that.
A lot of people.
Oh, Nick, are you good?
I was wondering if it was me.
No, I was just answering Carrie. It a lot of it is fear driven. I mean, we tell people if you don't give tithe, that God is going to curse you, and you're not going to be able to have tolerance and all sorts of things. And people are afraid of God.
It looked like a plague. This COVID looked like a plague. We never seen.
It was a plague.
Well, right, you're right.
It is. Yeah.
It
is. Yeah.
But you see, the difference with me, GP, is that I put blood on my doorpost and it went by. People like Nick, he didn't do it.
I didn't. I never will forget. When I got smitten. Man, that was scary.
No, and I made a joke out of it, but the honest truth is that it was a plague. You're right about it, and people were feared into it, believed more, or decided, hey, I want to line myself up with God. And how can you do that without showing yourself? Is with your finances.
So they said, I don't know if it's still true, but about 35% of people pay tithes. So 30. Assuming it's under 40%, and we gave almost $38 million in 2021. I'm wondering how many more people were giving than normal.
You mean recently?
Yeah, from 2021.
Yeah.
What percentage?
Yeah, I don't know.
Good question.
Hold on, let me call. What's Mr. Martin's number?
He ain't gonna tell you.
I remember that question being asked, but I don't know that we've done the research to determine how many new givers were included in that. Because I think what Tally was saying about now people have access, because there were some people who were online church members for even before the pandemic, but it wasn't. No one's really telling them how to give. No one was asking them to give, so they weren't. Now suddenly your Cash App's up there, you're on time, so they're like, oh, okay, I'll give.
I mean, take a look at Oakwood. Buddy Bird, when Buddy Bird made that twist, he actually made the twist before the pandemic came with the media and what he was doing over there. A lot of people left and went to Oakwood and were returning their tithe there. I know we keep saying pay, but returning their tithe there because they had something to offer. I think what happened also with media, it's shorter. We ain't preaching 2-hour sermons.
Pat still is.
No, it's an hour and 15 minutes. I'm bringing it down just a little bit more.
Do better, sir. Do better.
It's true. I'm gonna do better. But there's a certain satisfaction to see in church move along, and now being able to deal with your family, or have that spiritual walk with your family, that you no longer saying that they are pilfering from my pocket. You now understand what the work is for. So I don't want to just say just fear alone, but some people are enticed to give when they see something working.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah. And I'd add to that too, a heightened level of gratitude. I think that, people were going through devastating things, seeing a lot of things happening in the world. And, there was the fear side, but there was also that thankfulness and wanting to show thankfulness in kind of more of a practical way. And therefore more giving was there.
Yeah. So I know we have a lot to say about this topic, but we're not going to linger long today, but like Pat's sermons. But our last question for today's episode is about stewardship. So stewardship is managing the assets of somebody else. And so God has blessed us with the privilege of managing his assets. And so what are some practical ways that we can implement some practical tools or ideas on how to be a better steward with these assets that we've been entrusted with? Like, what can we do to be a better steward? I want to be a frugal and faithful steward for God's glory. Help me out, y'all. Help me out.
Well, you have to contemplate that being a steward. I mean, seeing that most of our members earn tithe. To be a steward means you have to exercise oversight over that which has been entrusted to you, correct?
Wow.
Well, if the tithe then leaves the place where it was generated, then you don't have an opportunity to be a steward. You just make a contribution. You gave some
Nick,
money to somebody.
Nick, GP, next time
Say that again.
Call out the person who you want to answer.
No, I mean you give in other words, to be a steward, it means I have to exercise oversight.
He's right.
And so if I'm giving, let's say my tithe is, $200, but when I give it, it then grows feet and walks away from me and the people with whom I share fellowship, then I'm not being a steward.
But that's with everything. I mean, even if you pay
that's not with everything.
That's if you pay your rent, your mortgage,
if I give an offering,
that out.
But that's not stewardship. When I pay my mortgage, I'm not being a steward. Then I'm paying for.
Nick, I hear what you're saying, but that's just
like
10%,
your
right?
finances.
What about the 90% that I have control over?
Right.
I can't control what the conference does with the tithe.
What 90% you got control of? When you get control of what? What are you talking about?
Your paycheck.
Yeah.
I the rest of the assets. Yeah.
Listen, Nick is going to get us all fired while he's retired. Okay. No, but I'm going to tell you something. Just like that $600 and something that I talked about in the very beginning.
I've been beat scorned.
Children.
Please don't.
You know what was the most guilty part of that? That God gave it to me and I wasted it. That when I look at that, I thought to myself, how many more people could I have helped? Or $600 a month for 10 months is $6,000.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money when you turn around and you look at it, and it was longer than 10 months. GP, I'll tell you this, because you're like the youngest one of us. One thing that I recognize is that God holds us, the 10% belong to God. And I wish I had learned this early. The 90 is his too.
Yeah.
It's not just the 10. It's the whole thing is his. So he governs. We have to be able to govern not just the 10 that belong to him, but how we spend the 90, whether we spend it on foolishness, whether we spend it on, it's still something that he wants us to be, what's the word called? He wants us to be stewards over. Let me just add this thing real quick. When I was growing up, every second or third, I don't remember what it was, there was Stewardship Sabbath, no matter what day it was.
No.
Right?
I
And
didn't even grow up in the church. Yeah,
are you still in the church? So what I'm
He retired from the church.
right? He just Pentabaptist, whatever. I don't know what he is now. No, but really, I could remember as a kid when old people in the church would give you $1, they would say to you, "Don't forget to put your 10 cents in the." It was about what church. It was about that. So growing up in church, and there was always a stewardship weekend, a stewardship Sabbath. I think we need to bring that back because that was a part of teaching also that we don't do anymore.
Yeah.
And also, not only should we teach to return unto God, but to be a blessing to others. Oftentimes, our monies are just for us,
Right.
and just to share with someone in need. That's very important in our stewardship.
Yeah.
I saw Carrie mention
Me
if
too.
you can't beat
Me
God,
too.
give.
Me
That's
too.
another one of them songs that they don't sing out on the main line. that's another one of those songs.
And Nick, and I know Carrie is our resident doctor, but I'm gonna tell you, I have a problem. Never mind, that's another.
Oh no, good.
No, I got a problem with double tithing. I do. I think that we become presumptuous. This is the UpSet podcast. Let me say what I gotta say.
Sure, man.
We become presumptuous when we try to give God more in order for God to give us more. That wasn't his command for us.
If that's why you're doing it.
Well, and think about this. I hate to say this, but as a pastor in the church, I knew who was double tithing because they told us they were double tithing. So they wanted people to to let you know that they're paying your salary because they're double tithing. God has never asked us to double tithe, neither for us to brag about double tithing. He's never did it. The 10% is what he asked, and he'll open up the windows of heaven for the 10%. If you give him 20%, you're not opening up more windows.
Well, it's not to get off of that, but just going back to what GP was
because
asking.
Tasha double tied. She want now everybody knows she double tied.
Even if I did, that's between me and the Lord.
But,
But
tell them.
when you were saying that, GP, about and I knew it before that it's not just the 10%, the 90% as well. I actually had an image of me working on my budget, or my husband and I working on it, and like God like overseeing it, saying, "This is where I want you." I don't think that we spend enough time asking God what He wants us to do with the 90%. It's kind of like, God, you got yours, now let me handle this over here,
Right?
And that's really not how it should be, because
we don't want to.
Yeah, we don't want to. We're like, look, I did my part. I did what you asked me to do.
On HBO, Hell's Best Offer, that you're paying $9 a month.
I was going to ask you, does God want us? Does God
Hell's
want
Best Offer? Oh my goodness!
HBO. Does God want that for? I mean, that's entertainment. Does He want that for us?
He probably wants pure flicks.
I'm going to say this publicly. I really love you guys. I really do.
But no.
Just remember the next time we extol the great virtues of Dave Ramsey, that he was one of the great supporters of Donald Trump, and I just have challenges.
Is he still like that, or was he?
He's still a very conservative.
But, that's that kind of eat the meat and take out the bones kind of thing. Like, and he's not the only one. There's so many principles.
The whole elephant got to go.
I'm with you on that. I was just saying his.
Let's just go with Joe.
I haven't seen him talking crazy like the Pillow Man, so I didn't know.
No, but for real. Let's go without God. And I want to say that, GP, we don't do that. We have people among us like Joe. We have people among us that can do the same job or even better. Understand Troy Levy, that understand the cultural background of why we do what we do. Dave Ramsey may say it, and the principle may be right, but he cannot identify with what we do. And that's why we need to be able to lean on
Dave Ramsey said, I got a real inventive thing. Stop spending so much money. Don't charge things on credit. And make a budget. I'm thinking, and
get my program.
Don't charge nothing, but my program gonna cost you this.
That's not really invested, right? No,
it was only.
I got a real important question for GP that I want him to answer.
Hold on, we got 3 minutes left, bro. 3 minutes left. I'm sorry. Next episode,
Nick. I was waiting on you, Nick. You made me dribble.
I wish we had more time for this discussion today, but I'm going to turn it back over to our producer.
That's
just
what a preacher says when he's run out of sermon, but he ain't run out of time yet. Oh,
if I had more time.
If I only had more time.
No, but this has been a great discussion. It's one of those things that we don't want. We're kind of here talking about it to kind of get everyone else thinking about it, because when you leave here, we still want you to be able to do your part in becoming more financially literate, learning. I'm always listening to podcasts and reading books and increasing my knowledge. And the more knowledge we get, the more we can pass on to our children. The more we have, the more we can give to ministry and the things that matter and the things that God has impressed us to support. So let's not let finances be one of those taboo subjects that we don't talk about. Find opportunities to incorporate it into whatever ministry you're involved in your church, because I believe that that's what God wants for us as his children, to be faithful and financially fit. All right, guys, great discussion. It was great being able to talk to our audience tonight and see the good stuff that they were sharing with us. And if you weren't here from the beginning, go back and read some of the comments people were sharing what they're doing to deal with inflation and all this other stuff that's going on with their finances. So this has been great.
Should we buy stock, GP? Should we buy stock, GP? Is that something?
That's part 2, part 3.
Yeah,
part 3.
Show, right? Don't forget to email us at the UpSet, UpSet at aecsda.com.
Stocks and Bitcoin.
Yes. Any topics you want us to cover?
Bitcoin don't exist.
But it's been real, guys. Everyone, please have a good evening. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys. Blessed week, family.
You all take care. Have a great week.
Love you guys.
Spend safely.
Thank you, Sister Cherry.
All right. Until next week, we'll see you guys.
Let's go with the song. And